You're listening to Uncoupled and Unfiltered, the show for people smart enough to get out of the wrong relationship and bold enough to do it without losing their damn minds. Hosted by Ksenia, a divorce strategist and straight-talking badass, this podcast is your no-fluff, no-shame, take-control guide to surviving litigated divorce with clarity, guts, and zero regrets. Let's get into it. Here's Ksenia.
Welcome back to Uncoupled and Unfiltered, the podcast where we talk about breakups, breakdowns, and breaking free. But not just from people, sometimes even from the things that drive us absolutely crazy. And today we're taking that theme literally and talking about what happens when the thing you want to leave has four wheels and a warranty. That's right, we're diving into lemon laws and what to do when your car turns out to be the worst kind of relationship: unreliable, unpredictable, and constantly in the shop. Joining us is Michelle Fonseca-Kamana with West Coast Lemons APC, a seasoned lemon law attorney who helps people say goodbye to their problem cars. When life gives you lemons, Michelle will get you justice. So buckle up because it's time to talk about making your car an X. Michelle, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your expertise with us.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
Oh, I love this topic. As you know, like when women, a lot of times women are not very well versed when it comes to cars, especially if something's breaking. I mean, we're just like, we just sit back and look pretty, to be honest. So I really want to dive in so we feel empowered to what to do when your car is unreliable, unpredictable, and a toxic relationship. So let's dive in. What are the red flags? Let's talk about what legally makes a car a lemon.
That's a great question. So you're completely right. We're not taught how to buy a car, what to do when it goes wrong. And stereotypically, I even used to be that girl too. Like I used to just call my dad, like, this light came on,
Yes.
what do I do? And it wasn't until getting in this industry where I learned all of these different scams and red flags, and it's been so great getting to share that with the community too, especially other women. So we can go into dealerships confident and say, you're not going to pull one over on me. I actually know what I'm talking about here. So,
Mm-hmm.
car relationship red flags. If you keep taking your car in for the same issue over and over again. So
Okay.
a lot of us, are very patient. So we might give the dealership quite a few chances to fix the same thing. For example, your check engine light keeps coming on over and over
Mm-hmm.
again. You take it in, it's like the third, fourth time now. They keep saying, oh, it's fixed. It was just a software update or a little component replacement. And you want to trust the dealership because obviously they should be the experts. But sometimes, and especially with the newer cars, all the electric vehicles, that technology is still
Mm-hmm.
very new. They're not the experts right now. We're all kind of guinea pigs with a lot of these newer cars. So they may, in good faith, think it's fixed, but it may not actually be fixed. So, what the law says is you only have to give them a reasonable number of repair opportunities to fix your car.
Okay.
So there's no magic number. So there are some presumptions in the lemon law that I think if anyone Googles lemon law, they're like, oh, it has to be 2 times for this, or it has to be 4 times for this. Those are guidelines.
Okay.
So generally, for safety issues, for example, if you're driving on the freeway and your car shuts down on you,
Mm-hmm.
2 times is more than enough for you to have that problem reported to the dealership, for them to fix it 2 times and for it to still be broken. That's enough. But for most of your other issues, for example, your infotainment's not working, your air conditioning's not working, your transmission may be, hesitating on acceleration, it's like shifting really hard, check engine light coming on. Most of those other issues, 4 times is a pretty good goal to get to.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have to take into account how many days your car was out of service for. So if each repair was really short, they're like 1 to 2 day repairs, you may want to get closer to that 4 or more repair visits so that we can prove, okay, you gave them a reasonable chance to fix the car and they just couldn't. On the
Mm-hmm.
flip side, if you have these really long repair visits where it's, 2, 3 weeks every single time, Sometimes you can get away with having three repair visits for something like that because then we use the days out of service to really build up your case there.
Hmm.
So there's really no one size fits all, but I would say if you're starting to have problems, it's covered under the manufacturer's warranty, not the extended warranty. It has to be the original manufacturer's one. It's a good time to get in touch with a lemon law attorney. You know, most of us in California give completely free consultations.
Hmm.
So just get educated on what's going on with your car specifically and how it relates to the law and what you need to do to be able to get your money back.
Does it have to be the same issue for the repair? Or is it like, for instance, sometimes you get a brand new car and it's like a Christmas tree. Today, you check engine. Tomorrow, it's your seatbelt. The day after, it's infotainment. If you are getting different issues and they're allegedly are being fixed, does it still qualify under a lemon law?
It could under a breach of the implied warranty. So normally
Okay.
you think of the ones where it's the same issue multiple times, but there are actually a lot of different lemon law claims that you can file under. So breach of implied warranty basically means when you buy a new car, it should have a minimum standard of quality. And
Hmm.
so what we argue is if you're having 10 different things go wrong on you in the first year, that's obviously not normal. That doesn't meet the minimum standard of quality for a new car. So in
Hmm.
situations like that, where you're having just every single thing on your car is breaking down, you could actually have a case. They're not the strongest cases. They take a
Hmm.
little bit of finesse, but we are able to be successful on a lot of those cases as long as you have the paperwork and the evidence to back it
Hmm.
up.
What about if the dealership or the manufacturer says, but you have warranty, everything's fixed, it's fine.
Oh, they do that. It's like you've been reading some of their emails. They love to say that, especially, FCA. I actually just was working on a case where they said that exact same thing to one of my clients, where they say, "Oh, we've talked to the dealership. The dealership said your car's fixed under warranty, so that is all we can do for you. You know, we can just continue to fix it under the terms of your warranty." No, no, that is not the end of the law. So that is true that they
Hmm.
have to keep trying to repair it under warranty, but you also have rights then proactively at that point. Once you've reached the reasonable number of repair opportunities,
Hmm.
that's when you can actually take action and try to get your money back or replacement vehicle. So they're going to tell
Okay.
you that. Don't buy it. It's a lie. Um, they're just trying to make you discourage you from actually doing something about it because a
Hmm.
lot of people see those emails and say, "Oh, well, they said this is all they can do for me," and then they just let it go. But the
Hmm.
reality is you do have rights and they know you have rights, but they're hoping that you never find out.
Okay. Well, I have another question because I think it's almost like a fine line between lemon law and really false advertising. And I'm sure you are hearing that a lot about especially electric vehicles. Like the battery life, and you and I talked about it. I have Audi Q4, and I have met other owners that have the same reaction of Q4, nobody wants to drive it because the range is, they tell you, oh, it's enough, and there are charges everywhere. No, it like the range just drops. You can see it's like so thirsty, you're just like, it's gone. So if you have, like, again, you were sold on the pretenses that it's plenty of range, it's a strong battery, and then it just keeps draining, and all you're doing is charging, do you have a case then?
So, not necessarily under the lemon law. So, lemon law
Okay.
is really breach of warranty based. Um,
Okay.
with false advertising, that generally falls under something called the CLRA, the Consumer Legal Remedies Act. And so that kind of gets into some of these false advertising claims where they're saying, oh, it should function this way. And then when the reality is it doesn't. And especially if they don't have that fine print, especially with ranges where it's like, the way you drive it, if you have your AC on. But it's like they don't tell you these things. All this like little fine print, they just put in big bold letters like, oh, this
Mm-hmm.
is what you want to hear. And then it's like those commercials where they're like, Side effects may include.
Yeah, oh my gosh. You don't want to get on any of that. You're like, I don't want that.
No. So it's that's kind of what a lot of these car companies are doing though, where they're trying to promote these cars, but the reality is they're not living up to the hype, especially in the EV market.
Mm-hmm. And I remember as I was bringing the car for service, and I'm saying something with the battery. I mean, I drive 5 miles and my battery percentage drops 5%. I'm like, that kind of doesn't make any sense. They're like, well, it's how you drive. You probably accelerate too hard or you brake too hard. You need to keep your windows closed, no AC, don't go up the hill. And I'm like, it's a can. What are you talking about? Like, I can't drive the car like that. But they're like, it
Yeah.
has to be perfect driving conditions to qualify for that range. And I agree with you. It's like a fine print, especially when it comes to EVs. And EVs right now is a big thing now that the subsidies are gone. And I think the market is tanking because
Yeah.
people are really not interested in EVs because kind of
Mhm.
it's less reliable. But it's one of those things that the fine print is not disclosed, and the guinea pigs do not know about all the experiments happening at the factory, you know? So it's not
Exactly.
fun to be stuck with a car. And it is like a toxic relationship. It looks pretty, but I cannot stand it, you know?
Oh yeah. No, exactly. But it's just like with any toxic relationship, keep the receipts. So it's like when you buy the car, keep copies of the advertisements that you're seeing and you're relying on. Keep a copy of all the paperwork you got when you bought the car, the window sticker. All of
Hmm.
that can be used as evidence later on. But if you don't keep the receipts, then you're going to have less of a leg to stand on when things actually do go wrong and you want to hold them accountable for what they've done.
Okay. Well, now let's talk about the breakup. So you realize your car is toxic for you. So what does the process look like? So you realize car is a lemon. Um, let's talk about the documentation that I needed. We talked about how many services.
Mhm.
What else people need to be aware of when they want to start the process?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, just knowing that you have rights is huge because I've talked to so many people that say, "Oh my gosh, I wish I knew you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because I didn't know I had these rights." And they end up, trading in their cars at a loss. And then the next person ends up buying a lemon not knowing that. And so this cycle just continues and continues.
Mm-hmm.
So just first and foremost, the thing that I want people to know, you have rights. And the second part is, lemon law attorneys are very cost effective because we are free. We're free of charge to the consumer. So you're not going to have to consult with an attorney, pay money for the consultation. You're not going to have to pay out of pocket for our services.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is when we win your case, we work on contingency so that we end up billing the manufacturer of your car
Mm-hmm.
for your attorney's fees. So it's almost too good to be true, but thankfully, the law on this is very strong. California has one of the strongest
Mm-hmm.
lemon laws in the country. So it's just know that you have these resources. Don't be afraid. I know a lot of times the stereotype for attorneys isn't great. You can be scared of getting hit with these huge bills for talking to an attorney for even 5 minutes. Uh,
Yes.
so just from that perspective, just know that there are attorneys out there, our firm included, completely free consultations, completely free representation. It doesn't hurt to get an opinion on your case, but the worst thing that you can do is wait too long. I actually
Mm-hmm.
just had a potential client yesterday. She has a Mercedes. Her warranty was up at 4 years. And so the law has recently changed. So now you have 1 year after your warranty expires to bring a case.
Oh.
Her car is 6 years old. So by contacting us now, it's too late. But she had been having problems since the very beginning. But because she waited
Mm-hmm.
so long, our hands are tied when it comes to getting her compensated because the statute of limitations has run out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're having problems, and especially if your warranty is getting close to expiring, talk to an attorney because you'd rather know how much time you have to act as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
waiting too long and then being told it's too late. You could have had a case last year or even 2 days ago, but
Mm-hmm.
because you waited too long, there's nothing we can do.
Got it. Well, what about how long does the process usually take? So somebody reaches out to you, you're taking on the case. Yes, it's legit. It's within the time frame. It has all the, it satisfies all the requirements of a lemon law. So when you start working on the case to the finish line, how long does it usually take?
It is a wild,
It's
wild west
different.
right now.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is the lemon law actually just changed for the first time in decades.
Oh,
And now there are different procedures, but the procedures are different depending on what car company you have. So the car manufacturers actually got to decide what law applies to them, which is insane. But here we are. So, depending on what car brand you drive, the
mm-hmm.
rules on timing is different. The rules on how much money you're entitled to is different. The procedures we go through in litigation or even pre-litigation are different. So, it really is dependent first and foremost on what car brand you drive
Mm-hmm.
to figure out, okay, what procedures do we go through? Um, if you're in one of the newer lemon law type of manufacturers, your GM, your Ford, Mercedes, they're in that new lemon law bracket. There are a few different procedures. So, one of the procedures, especially if you're having serious safety issues that can be very fast, is you go through this process where you can have an attorney. Essentially, now it's as easy as writing them an email to a specific email address, but it has to be that specific email address with some
Okay.
information about the case, basically saying, okay, this is the VIN, this is the car owner, these are the problems, I want you to buy it back. You send that either letter or email to them, and then they have 30 days to say yes or no to we're going to buy it back, we're going to replace your car. And then they have another 30 days to actually process that. So if
Okay.
everything goes right, you could be out of your car within about 60 days, which is the fastest, we've seen in probably decades. Before, what would happen is you could try to talk to the manufacturer directly, ask them to buy your car back. There were no time limits for them to do anything.
Oh,
Now there are
mm-hmm.
very specific time limits for them to either say yes or no and for them to actually process settlements. So that's probably the fastest way if you have a car brand that is part of the new law. That can be a
Mm-hmm.
very fast way. But you're also kind of limiting yourself to the minimum that the law requires them to pay. So it's kind of a
Of course.
trade-off
Yep.
where there's not a lot of leverage, but you can get out of your car pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to litigation, that's my sweet spot with a litigation firm. That can take a long time. So long time, minimum, usually about 6 months or so, but depending on what manufacturer you're dealing with, some of
Mm-hmm.
them are much more reasonable and on top of things than others. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but for example, if you've got an FCA case, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, those take quite a long time.
Oh.
Uh, those take quite a long time right now, but generally, historically, 6 to 9 months is usually what we quote
Mm-hmm.
people in terms of how long it can take. But the more money that you're fighting for, they can prolong the process because if you're just wanting your standard buy back your money back, that can be a little bit easier to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have facts to support a civil penalty, a willful violation of the lemon law, some type
Mm.
of fraud claims where you can get punitive damages. Obviously, the more money that you're asking for, the more they're going to fight back. So it can
Mm-hmm.
take more time, but I always tell my clients it's a time versus money evaluation. I'll try to
Yes.
get you as much as I can, as quickly as I can, but it's going to be their decision whether they want to accept the offer that's on the table or if they want to give me some more time to continue fighting for
Mm-hmm.
the additional money.
What are the worst car manufacturer companies to work with?
FCA. No question. Um, FCA is pretty horrible. And it's just their law firms don't respond to anything, phone
Mm-hmm.
calls, emails, even court orders. They'll tell them to do something and they don't. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just poorly run law firms and the fact that these companies don't really seem to care how their law firms are handling their cases. And it ends up hurting them in the end because those cases that could have settled for a lot less end up
Mm-hmm.
settling for tens of thousands of dollars more because they've been dragged out for so long because of their inaction.
Mm-hmm.
So It's just part of the reality where unfortunately, we're in this situation filing a lawsuit because they didn't follow the law in the first place, but they're
Mm-hmm.
still not following the law even after being sued. So it's this continued fight where it's not something that most car owners should do by themselves
Mm-hmm.
because these are huge corporations with a lot of time and money. So we know how to fight them. We know what they do. We know their game plan, and we have the respect of them when it comes to a good case. So it is something where, if you want top dollar on your case, you're going to want a top attorney and law firm on your case.
Okay. What about the most common lemon cars brands that you're seeing?
So every couple years, I love data on this stuff. So every couple years, I believe it's Frontier Group, they come out with studies about the most common types of car brands. So
Mm-hmm.
they have this chart that shows, okay, out of every 50 cars, they're selling one lemon, or out of, every 1,000 cars, they're selling a lemon. So on the top end, it's usually, unfortunately, more of the American cars. Your General Motors, your Ford, you've got FCA in there, Jaguar Land Rovers up
Mm-hmm.
there. Those are cars that I see very consistently. I see Kias
Mm-hmm.
a lot. Mercedes is pretty up there as well. So I do tend to see some of those a lot. On the more reliable side, your Toyotas, your Lexuses, those are
Mm-hmm.
pretty safe bets in terms of going into a car purchase where you're
Mm-hmm.
much less likely to end up with a lemon. You still can. I'm still dying to see Toyota of Orange one day and sing their jingle at trial. So if anyone ever picks a car from there and has problems, please call me. You will help me live out my bucket list. But, it is hard because they are historically pretty reliable cars, pretty well-made cars.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think is why is there such an issue with American-made cars? Is it quality control? Is it our manufacturing process? Is it our regulations? Why is American-made mostly lemons? A lot of them are.
Yeah, yeah. I think quality control, the types of parts that are used, I think a lot of that goes into it and just the engineering process because especially now that we're getting into more of the EVs and stuff, it's a lot of software. And so I'm seeing a
Yes,
lot of situations where the software is going wrong and it's taking them a really long time to figure out how to fix it. Meanwhile,
yes,
you're making payments on that car every month. It's at the dealership waiting for this software to magically
yes.
um, be programmed. So I think, we may be a little further behind on some of that type of
Mm-hmm.
engineering than some of these other car brands, and that may play into it. There's a lot of parts issues with cars these days where it's become one of my new favorite types of claims is these fraud claims on new cars where, you buy your car and within 6 months there's a back ordered part. Why is there a back-ordered part on a brand new car? How do you not have the
Mm-hmm.
parts available to fix a car you just gave me a warranty on? That is
Wow.
absolutely unacceptable. So we've been kind of going down the rabbit hole on some of those cases. For example, I have a case on one of those new Volkswagen ID Buzz
Okay.
vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Super cute. But within what, 4 months or so, it started having brake problems, and the part needed to fix the brakes was back ordered from about March through, I believe they just got it back in like September or October. So, all that time, that car spent most of its first year at the dealership waiting for this part for brakes. When this is a family
Wow.
car, my client puts his wife, his kids in there, and the brakes don't work and they don't have the part available.
That's
Those
crazy.
types of cases I'm seeing a lot more where it's these new cars and suddenly, oh, the part's back ordered.
Mm-hmm.
Why are these parts back ordered? Are they being
Mm-hmm.
allocated towards just building more new cars so they can make more money?
Yes, I think
I
so.
think that might be it. So we're currently in the process of going down that rabbit hole on a few different manufacturers actually, but it is something to be aware of, especially when you're deciding what car brand to go with, just
Mm-hmm.
having some knowledge about some of these car brands do not, take their warranties as seriously as you'd want them
Mm-hmm.
to.
Yes, and I agree with you, especially when it comes to infotainment or any kind of electrical issue. It's they first they have really hard times figuring out why it's malfunctioning.
Mm.
And like in my car, it happened. It just the screen sometimes shuts down or it resets on its own, and nobody's like, "Oh, it's just how you drive." The favorite response is how you
Yeah.
drive, you
Oh
know?
yeah. You're a woman, it's your fault.
I
That's
know.
the
It's
dealership.
and that's another thing. As a woman, and as a woman, you go to dealership and you can sense that treatment like, oh, she doesn't know anything. And you're like, no,
Exactly.
I educated
Yes,
myself before I came here.
exactly.
It's so frustrating. But you do sit there and you like trying to prove you're not an idiot to people who don't really know much about cars either.
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
the
They're
most
just making
frustrating
things
part.
up.
And they think you will buy it, but not after today. Not on this
No.
watch.
Exactly. Exactly. You have resources. We'll back
For
you up.
sure. For sure. I had to learn on my own how to like refill windshield fluid. And the same, like I didn't have to worry about it,
Oh
but
yeah.
thank God for Google. You just, okay, here we go. I just want to make sure I don't pour in the wrong bucket or place,
Exactly.
but otherwise we're good.
Yeah.
Um, Let's talk about the rebound rate. So your car is gone and you want to date another car.
Mhm.
So you mentioned the healthier one, or of course, it's going to be the more reliable, like Toyota. Are there other brands that you would say, okay, yeah, consider those for leasing or ownership?
Honestly, I'm more jaded where I can give you the list of everything not to buy. I don't really have a lot where I can say, "Oh, yes, I trust the honestly beyond Lexus and Toyota." It's
Okay,
kind of it's kind
it's
of a toss up there. Yeah, it really is. But I think in terms of another thing to keep in mind for things to avoid, newer car brands are very dangerous. So I know it's fun to get the newest, coolest thing. Some of those car brands don't end up making it. Case in point, Fisker, where a lot of people spent a lot of money on these cars and then they go bankrupt. Then
I've
you're
never
stuck
even
holding,
heard of that car. What is that?
yeah.
When was it?
Well, they're gone now. But it was one of these new kind of EV startups, but it
Mm-hmm.
didn't work. And so all these people bought these cars with massive, massive problems. And when it goes time to actually do the lemon law process, if that company's gone bankrupt, who are you going to get money from? So you want to
Mm.
buy from car companies with a reputation where they're at least a viable business. Some of
Yes,
these
they're
new EV
solvent.
startups, just keep in mind, if they go bankrupt and something goes wrong with your car, you might have some issues getting your warranty, service under your warranty. You may have issues collecting under the lemon law. So I had quite a
Mm-hmm.
few calls on Fisker owners where their cars were completely, bricked, like they couldn't be driven, but there's no company to sue anymore. So what do you
Wow.
do? You're kind of stuck holding this, tens of thousands of dollars in, financing for a car that doesn't even work. So just be careful if you're trying to get into
Mm-hmm.
some of these newer car brands. I would stay away from them. I wouldn't put myself as the guinea pig in that because I've seen a lot of people be hurt pretty badly when
Oof.
those companies go out of business. So I would, especially if you don't have a lot of, extra money to spare if something does go wrong, go with a
Mm-hmm.
more established car brand for now. And then in a couple years, if those car brands are still around, then maybe
Mm-hmm.
consider going into those. But for now, I would stay away from them.
Okay. Well, also, can we talk about the difference between, so when you're getting new, you're getting certified pre-owned or just pre-owned? What are the differences? And I know that one of them cannot qualify to be under lemon law. So let's talk about those three
That
options.
is a great question. So, when you're in the market for a car, I always recommend if you can buy it brand new. You're going to have maximum protection under the law.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to have a brand new car, brand new warranty. There's less chance of something hidden in that car purchase. If you can't spring for a new car, that's okay. Certified pre-owned is also something good, but keep in mind, certified pre-owned, there's a lot of dealerships that call their cars certified pre-owned. So just because it's called certified pre-owned, don't just automatically assume, oh, I'm protected. For
Mm-hmm.
example, CarMax likes to sell a lot of certified pre-owned, certified used. Under the Lemon Law, you will not be able to sue the manufacturer of that car if you're buying it certified pre-owned from like CarMax. The
Huh.
lemon law changed last year, basically almost a year ago to the date. You cannot sue a car manufacturer for a used car anymore under the lemon law. So basically, they said there's a chain of custody issue, uh, basically, and that it's not fair for the manufacturers, even though they have manufacturer's warranty, even though the repairs may be covered under said manufacturer's warranty. It's not fair to hold these manufacturers accountable for used cars because who knows what has happened to them since they were originally sold.
Hmm.
I disagree with
I,
that wholeheartedly.
yeah, it doesn't sound like it's fair because if the car, let's say a lot of people sometimes unload the car after a year
Hmm.
and the car is a year old, so technically it qualifies under lemon law. It changed the owner and now you no longer can sue for the issue. It's based almost like a new car.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think in what it used to be is it was up to the warranty. If it had a valid manufacturer's warranty, and if the manufacturer, when you take it in, is saying, yes, this is a warranty issue, because warranty means there's a defect in materials and or workmanship from the manufacturer. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have warranty repairs, that means the manufacturer is taking responsibility for that. So for the law to have changed in that way was massively detrimental to California consumers. It was a Supreme Court case, Rodriguez versus FCA. So we've had to really readjust and really educate people on that because it
Mm-hmm.
has to be certified pre-owned from essentially the manufacturer. So the manufacturer has to issue a certified pre-owned warranty on the vehicle. So you're only going to get that from the same name brand dealership. So you can
Got
only
it.
really get a certified pre-owned Ford from a Ford dealership. So
Mm-hmm.
be wary if you're going to like a Chevrolet dealership and they're selling you a certified pre-owned um, Ram truck. That's not a it's not a real certified pre-owned car under
Got
the
it.
law. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to be very careful about what type of certified pre-owned vehicle it is. It's you can't just base it off of the wording. You have to take a step deeper and figure out, okay, where is this warranty coming from? Is it coming from the manufacturer again? Cool, I can sue them. But if it's
Okay.
not, if it's from an off-brand dealership, your CarMax, your Carvana is, even another name brand dealership, but it's a different type of car, my best advice, stay away from them because
Mm-hmm.
so many of those dealerships have no business selling other brand name cars because they don't
Mm-hmm.
have the expertise in fixing and repair and diagnosis. So they're basically just trying to flip something on you and they have no idea the true quality of that car.
I
And
actually, sorry to interrupt. I actually had this experience about a year ago. I was looking for a car because I was down with EV and I'm like, I need just gas. And I remember I went to a dealership, I think it was Toyota, and they
Mhm.
had a used Porsche. I know it's called Porsche.
Uh-huh.
And so as they it read it's certified, pre-owned.
Mhm.
And I started asking questions because I'm like, well, it says this is covered, this is covered. And one guy manager, he was so arrogant. He had no idea. So he had to go and dig deeper to understand. And finally he told me, no, it's not certified because it was certified by the dealership, Porsche dealership, and if it was there, it would have been valid. But because it's with us, so we basically an owner, so we got the pre-cert or certified option, but we cannot sell it because now we are the legal title holder of the car. And I thought that was so misleading because if I didn't ask questions and I got the car, I would have been duped, very seriously
A
duped.
thousand percent. Yeah, and that is so common. I see that from used car dealers all the time where they're selling these extended warranties that are disguised as that where it's like,
Yes.
oh, it's a certified pre-owned warranty. It's through JD Power. It's great. It's amazing. I'd put my grandmother in this vehicle. And then push comes to shove, you actually know what the law says, and you're out of luck. Who
Mm-hmm.
can you sue? You can still sue the dealership though. So just to back up, new cars, maximum protection, highly recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Certified pre-owned cars, if you're getting it from that name brand dealership where it's the same name brand and the warranty is actually from the manufacturer. And part two, get a copy of that warranty because even when clients buy certified pre-owned, so many times they have no clue what that warranty
Agreed.
is, what it looks like, what it says, what the terms are, and that's what we need. So make
Mm-hmm.
sure in your initial paperwork you have a copy of that warranty. You fully understand this warranty is provided by the car manufacturer for these terms. It starts here, it ends here. This is what's covered, this is what's not.
Mm-hmm.
There's usually about a 170-point inspection, so you should get that checklist as well.
Mm-hmm.
Have that documentation because that'll even give you peace of mind in terms of, okay, this is a real certified pre-owned warranty that's
Mm-hmm.
going to protect me in case things go wrong. So
Okay.
that's super important. So those two, you're going to have pretty good protections under the lemon law. However, with the certified pre-owned, be careful if you have a car brand that's under the new lemon law because those statute of limitations has really cut down on some of those cases. So now if you only have 6 years from the date of original purchase to bring your
Okay.
case. So if
Mm-hmm.
you buy a certified pre-owned car that's 5 years old, that leaves you 1 year to drive the car, figure out if it is defective or not, and start the process. And a lot of times it takes time for some of these glitches and, little
Mm-hmm.
electrical gremlins to come out. And so if you're buying certified pre-owned, I do recommend get a car that's 3, maybe 4 years old. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room in terms of driving the car and figuring
Mm-hmm.
out, okay, it is actually working the way it's designed. And if not, then you have time to build your case because you have to get those repair records
Yes.
in, repair visits in. It is a process. So you want to make sure you're giving yourself enough time.
Can we just confirm that it's the age of the vehicle from the purchase date? Because the new car, so it's 2018, but it was sold in 2017. So you have to backtrack it to the purchase date, not the year of the vehicle, correct?
Correct. So it's original purchase date. So on that certified pre-owned warranty paperwork, it'll say the first ownership date. So
Okay,
that
yeah.
is also very helpful because then not only you have the correct warranty for statute of limitations purposes,
Mm-hmm.
you have 6 years from that date, or you also need to keep in mind 1 year after the expiration of your warranty. So there's two
Mm-hmm.
different statutes. It can be really confusing. So if you're even close to any of those, the 6 years or 1 year after your warranty expires, talk to an attorney. You would rather talk to them before when you can still do something as opposed to after when we just tell you we're so sorry, but there's nothing we can do.
Okay, got it. What about, let's talk about car loves or car lies. If you modify a car, you are not eligible under lemon law. True or false?
This is like an attorney response, and it depends.
No, it
Um,
just okay.
can be true or false. So what happens if you modify your car? You're giving the manufacturer kind of an out because if they can blame the modifications that you did
Mhm.
on the problems you're having, they can void your warranty when it comes to those issues. And you need the defects to be covered under warranty. So I've had people, especially with trucks, they'll lift their trucks. Suddenly they start having problems. And then the manufacturer and the dealership are saying, well, you know what? We think it was the modification that's actually causing these issues. So here's a bill
Hmm.
for $5,000 if you want us to try to fix it. So if you want to do modifications, usually, try to do them maybe later on. Just make sure the car is functioning properly to begin with, and then maybe do that.
Hmm.
But just know you are putting yourself at risk. And the other part is you're not entitled to these additions that you do on your car. So if you do all these aftermarket additions, you lift it, you wrap it, you tint it, you're not entitled to that money back under lemon law.
Okay.
So keep that in mind when you're putting a ton of money into a new car. You might not get that money back if it turns out to be a lemon. So
Okay.
just be very wary with that. Maybe wait a little bit, maybe at the 1 year anniversary, you pimp out your ride
Celebrate. Here's happy
then.
birthday to my car.
Yeah, it's the birthday. So, I do see that because a lot of times, especially now with the newer EVs, these cars are going bad in the first year.
Yes.
So you'd rather kind of know your position within that first, and then, once you kind of confirm you have a relatively reliable car,
Mm-hmm.
maybe invest more money into it. But I've seen a lot of people invest that money on the front end, cars lemon right away, and suddenly
Mm-hmm.
they're out money, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not a situation that you ever want to be in. So just keep that in mind when you're deciding, whether you want to add aftermarket additions, if so, how much you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about another hmm, true or false? If you're leasing a car, you're stuck with it. You no longer qualify under lemon law.
No, leases you do qualify under lemon law, and I actually love leases because your warranty coverage is there. So most lease terms are basically within the lines of the manufacturer's warranty. So there's less question of, oh, are you in a warranty? Are you out of warranty? You're protected. So purchase, lease, you are covered.
Okay. And the lemon laws throughout the country are the same. Every state has same lemon laws. True or false?
False, false. So we are very lucky in California. We have one of the strongest lemon laws um, in the entire country. So it's something that you have a lot of rights here in California if you have a defective car. So just be aware
Mm-hmm.
that you do have that law to back you up.
It just seems like you mentioned to qualify or to claim your car as a lemon, it's almost a lot of upfront legwork because you do have to go and talk to dealership and they're exhausting. Like I feel they're
Mhm.
trained how to exhaust the person just by being there. There is
Oh
something
yeah.
like I come out and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm drained.
They're
And
energy
also,
vampires.
yes. And also just constantly getting a list, a loaner. And they have shortage of loaners. A lot of times now, a lot of dealerships don't have loaners. So you have to schedule almost like 1 to 2 months in advance to service your car. And it seems like such a hassle that I think maybe a lot of people just forget it. Like I'm just
Yeah.
dealing with that for the next year or two and I'm done. Um, that seems also unfair. It should be easier,
Yeah,
right?
it should. It should. And so, what I recommend to people that will make the process easier later on is do a little bit at a time. So, it's like when you buy the car, make sure you have your purchase paperwork in a safe place. Scan it, put it in a folder on your computer, then you can forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you take your car into the dealership, you get a work order when you drop it off, you get a repair order when you pick it up. Make sure you get copies of those because
Mm-hmm.
it is a nightmare to get them after the fact. Keep
Oh,
those
wow.
records, even if you're not, even if it's the first time you've ever taken it in, you don't think it's going to become a lemon, keep those documents in a
Mm-hmm.
safe place, scan them into your computer. Just have a file on your computer with all of your car documents because if things go wrong, you're going to be so thankful you already have all of those records ready because we do
Mm-hmm.
everything electronically too. So we have all of our clients send us a copy of their purchase contract, lease agreement, all the repair records, all of that. So if you already have that electronically stored somewhere, you're not going to be scrambling around for the paperwork later on.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have to beg the dealership to print them out for you because half the time they're not going to answer their phone. They don't
No, they
want to
don't.
help you. And so a lot of clients do end up almost giving up at that point because they can't get copies of their records and we can't move forward with a case without evidence. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
catch 22. We need that evidence before we can move forward. So if you don't have
Mm-hmm.
that evidence, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So just maintaining that and having that ready to go throughout the process so that when you do hand it off to an attorney, that's it. Your legwork is done, then we can take it
Mm-hmm.
from there. We do all the arguing, all the communication, we set everything up and make it easy for you. But on the front end, it does take work, but it's a lot easier if you do a little bit at a time instead of having to figure all that paperwork out at the end.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a case that is, let's go like the best breakup story?
Best breakup story. There's a lot. We actually just had one settle recently that really hit my heart.
Mm, okay.
So I don't take on a lot of used car cases. So just
Okay.
quick. back up. Used car cases, even though you can't sue the manufacturer under lemon law, based off the new law, you can still sue the dealership. So there is a loophole in the law where you can sue the warrantor of your car. So if the used car dealership is providing you a warranty, whether that be an implied warranty or an actual express warranty, and these are all free of charge. So it's not the extended warranties that they,
Mm-hmm.
have you pay $3,000 for.
Yeah.
This is included in your purchase. It's basically the dealership saying, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm guaranteeing this car is going to work. Granted, it's the warranties are usually not very long. It's like 30 to 90 days, but it's
Yes.
something. It's something. So if you're buying a used car, never, ever, ever, ever buy it as is. So there's going to be a document called the buyer's guide. It says buyer's guide
Mm-hmm.
at the very top. There's usually two boxes that'll either say implied warranties only or as is, or any express warranty is listed. If as
Mm-hmm.
is checked off, run. Do not buy that car because what the dealership is saying, we're not putting our money where our mouth is. We'll tell you we'd put our own grandmother in it, but the second you drive off the lot, if that thing shuts off on you, it's your problem. Your repair
Mm-hmm.
bill, we're not standing behind this. Why would you want to do business with a dealership like that? But
Mm-hmm.
the issue is we're not trained on what to look for and what any of this means. So
Mm-hmm.
as is, massive red flag, run for the hills. But if you have these other warranties, implied warranties, some type of express warranty that covers you, even if it's just for 30 days, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
On used cars as well, you have the right to have your own independent mechanic inspect the car before you sign the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
If you're buying a used car, that is the single most valuable thing you can ever do for yourself. Because even just telling the dealership, hey, I'm going to have this inspection done, see what their reaction is. Because I've had
Yes.
multiple clients get their answer on the quality of the car just by saying that. Because if the dealership gets very defensive, what are they hiding? You have
Mm-hmm.
your answer there. You don't even need to spend your money on the inspection. You know something's wrong. But even then, just have that inspection done. Even on certified pre-owned cars, honestly, it's worth doing it because they don't
You never
necessarily always
know.
do the 170-point inspection. I had a client that had a certified pre-owned Subaru. He lifted up the hood, battery corrosion, battery acid everywhere. And this was a brand new certified pre-owned car that had allegedly had the 170-point inspection done. So
Yikes.
if you're buying any kind of used car, that independent inspection is huge. It's not super expensive. Usually it's like $100, $150,
Mm-hmm.
well worth your money. Have that done. But what ends up happening once you get that inspection done, it clears out, you buy the car, it has some type of a warranty. You can sue the dealership if you can build a case against them. So for most claims, it has to be under their warranty. You have to take it to them for repairs. So especially if you've got a
Mm-hmm.
30-day warranty, you gotta hustle to get it in there, ever many times you need to. And you definitely need to make sure to have the paper trail because especially when it comes to used car dealers, they do not build a very strong paper trail. So you need to hold them accountable, make sure when you drop it off, you get a copy of the work order showing the car, what you reported, and then when you pick it up, it shows your car, the mileage, the
Mm-hmm.
dates it was in there for, and then the repairs that were done. So that is gold in your lemon law case. And used car dealers, they love to say, "Oh, our service advisor isn't here, so we'll get you the records when you come back." Don't leave the car. Don't leave the car, or make or write your own records. Like, "Oh, I'll just write it myself. Sign here. What's your name? Can I have your business card?" You have to protect yourself. And so
Mm-hmm.
being assertive for yourself is going to go such a long way because especially these used car dealerships, they will try to walk all over you. And then if you don't have the evidence to back up your claim, there's not much we can do. So just be aware on a used car, you can sue the dealership. And we actually just settled a case like that against a dealership where they didn't try to resell, they did resell a truck that was another name brand. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a Chevrolet dealership. They sold my clients a Ram truck. And so what happened was I did some digging. The previous owners had had water damage. Their truck had shut off on them while they were driving. And I don't think they knew the lemon law was a thing. So what did they do? They traded in the car. likely at a loss because it was a
Mm-hmm.
newer truck. And so then this Chevrolet dealership gets the truck. They don't properly inspect it. They don't figure out, oh, the previous owners are trading it in because they shut off on them 3 weeks ago and they don't want to deal with it. So
Mm-hmm.
they just flip this truck on my clients. Lo and behold, a few weeks later, truck shuts off on them in the freeway over and over and over again. It was unacceptable to me for this dealership to be selling other name brand cars and just being like, oh, well, it's your problem or it's
Mm-hmm.
Ram's problem for not fixing it. They need to be held accountable for the vehicles that they're selling. So in that case, they had an implied warranty with the sale on that buyer's guide. That is what enabled us to sue the dealership because they had provided my clients with a warranty and the car failed during that warranty period. So we were
Okay.
able to get my clients their money back, get them out of it. The dealership's paying for all of my fees and costs. It was a long fought out case. But they finally returned the car last week. So it was a
Oh,
really
wow.
fun holiday for them where they got their check. They were able to go celebrate with their kids. Um, but these are the types of things that, whether you're buying new or used or certified pre-owned, just having a baseline knowledge of what a warranty is and what it isn't, that can protect you in the long run.
Wow, that's an incredible story. It's good to know that people have options because sometimes we feel when we're buying, having that purchase, just like when we're buying the house, or I'll compare when we're entering, the relationship and getting married, you always think you're done. Like it's the final step and there is no way out. And depends like
Mhm.
when, like we said from the beginning, anything can become toxic. If you have bad car, it becomes unsafe, right? It becomes like as such a stress trigger because you're like, oh my gosh, it breaks down again, or something breaks in the house, so the relationship doesn't work out. You need to know that you're not powerless. You have the rights. You just need to know who to reach out and ask the right questions, right?
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
Yep. To close out, as a lemon law attorney, what do you wish people knew and understood better about the cars, especially women? Again, I feel like guys, it's us just stereotypes, but men kind of like the brain is wired in a way they understand cars better overall. What do you wish, especially women, knew and understood better about cars?
I think it all goes back to the car buying process, honestly, because that is the foundation of any lemon law case, is just knowing what to look for when you're buying a car.
Mm-hmm.
What do these add-ons mean? Knowing that you have the right to read the paperwork that you're signing before you actually sign it. Because especially when you go buy a car these days, it's all e-signature. So they're like, oh, sign here, sign here, sign here. It's all standard
Mm-hmm.
paperwork. No, read it. You need to understand what it is that you're signing. So, definitely starting with that, know what you're signing, know what warranties you're getting, knowing that you have rights, that you have resources that are free of charge to you. We even have articles on my best car buying tips. So even from
Mm-hmm.
that level, happy to reach out and provide that to any of your listeners for free.
That would be
That is
great.
super, yeah, that is super, super helpful because you just need to know what to look for. So once you have that roadmap, knowledge gives you confidence. So then you're
Mm-hmm.
better able to stand up for yourself at the dealership when they're trying to tell you one thing. And like you said, you're like, no, 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 I Googled this. I know what I'm talking about. What does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't, really certified pre-owned or, what does this warranty mean? Why do I need this if the car's reliable?
Mm-hmm.
So just having that type of background where you can go in and be confident in the decisions that you're making. And when you're making these informed decisions, if things go wrong, then someone like me and my firm, we can protect you and help you
Mm-hmm.
get your money back. But it does go back to the very, very beginning of the car purchase. If you start there, you're going to be able to have a good result in the end.
You're right. It comes back to knowledge is power. You feel
Mhm.
very strong when you know what you are doing and what you're
Yeah.
signing, what you are buying. That's a lot of times. Like we can, as women, we can read receipts about the return policy when we're buying like a piece of clothing for $100, and here we're spending thousands of dollars, and we're like, yeah, that's fine. Like
Yeah.
it's to me sometimes we do not make any sense, but that's how we just programmed, right?
Exactly.
And another question for you. So I know that you get compensated once the case is closed, right? And people, again, a lot of times don't like reaching out to attorneys because of we know the billable hours can get expensive. What do you wish people, again, knew and understood better when working with attorneys like you? And also another thing, I want people, a lot of people are time wasters. And when we're talking about effective work, so for you to be effective and for them to get results they want, what do you wish they knew so they don't waste your time, their time, and make it a very mutually beneficial relationship?
Oh, definitely. I mean, first and foremost, having all of the evidence ready to go, because that is the biggest kind of time suck that we have is we tell them, okay, these are all the documents we need, and sometimes they have to go digging for it or asking the dealership for it. So being able to just be ready with that. If you are having conversations with the dealership or the manufacturer, take notes, make sure you have as much of a paper trail, photos, videos. There's never going to be a situation where I'm like, oh, that's too much evidence. That's too many photos of the problem. I love that. So definitely help me help you. The more evidence you can get for me to work with, the more I'm going to be able to advocate for you because we're going to have that evidence to back it up. Because what these manufacturers love is the he said, she said situation. And sometimes if you get me involved early on, I can coach you through how to get around that. But even if, you get me involved a little later, just know build the paper trail. It's just like in any, relationship. Keep the screenshots, keep the receipts, make sure you have that. And that's going to end up helping you so much more in the end to make it a very effective situation where it's going to be an easy process for you because you're going to have all the evidence ready to go. And then once you hand it off to me, then you can take a step back and just let me work my magic.
Okay. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for being here today. I loved learning about cars, understanding the differences, knowing the bad brands to stay away from. And also, I will include all your information down below because I think you're a fantastic firm to work with. You're so knowledgeable and you are such a pit bull in the courtroom and litigation. I mean, I follow you, so I know all the wins that you get is pretty incredible and very impressive. So, thank you again for being here. I love
No,
this.
thank you so much. No, this is amazing. And yeah, for all of your listeners, like feel free to reach out. We've got a ton of resources for you. So please don't hesitate, reach out.
Awesome. And to all the listeners, thank you for being here with us and listening how to break up with a car. And until next time, bye.
Bye.
That's it for this episode of Uncoupled and Unfiltered. If you're loving the raw truth and practical takeaways, do the badass thing and rate and review the show wherever you listen. It helps more good people find their way out of the chaos. And check the show notes. Yeah, we actually put some useful stuff in there. Resources, links, tools, go grab what you need. Until next time, don't settle, don't shrink, and don't look back.